Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome back. I'm the Conga Man.
I'm the Rev Jester. This is the King and Jester Show.
And friends.
Well, we're excited, so excited to have Nick back with us and Arnie here now visiting as well. All right, and last episode we talked about the Saddle video, which Frank, Nick, and I had done. But other trips that we've done now, Arnie, you've been on quite a few trips with us now at this point, right? You're a relatively new motorcycle rider. You've been up to Maine with us. You've been to Americade with us. We've ridden around some other times. Mm-hmm. So we want to get your perspective, too, on going up to Americade. So I guess this episode is going to be talking about Americade. Frank, you were at Americade. So all four of us were at Americade. Yeah. That's what we're going to talk about today. All right? But Arnie's a relatively new motorcycle rider. Started out on a Yamaha
V-Star.
Yamaha V-Star 650, right?
650, yeah.
What?
I'm out of the frame over here. I'm trying to stay in the frame. Like, we need a bigger studio with the friends here.
Yes. It's getting a little tight.
Lose some weight. We got to lose some weight.
That too.
We're going to get real close on this one.
But I'm sorry. So, Arnie, you got the Yamaha V-Star 650.
Yeah, that was the
motorcycle. Or you had the Yamaha V-Star 650.
Yeah, that I started off with. And it was a great bike as a learning, a motorcycle to learn on because it was so lightweight. It was nimble. But, I had ridden scooters and they were automatics, and so it's definitely a different step up to be able to learn a manual vehicle and learn the clutch, the throttle, and So it's been about 3 years now,
yeah.
But I still feel like a novice. Still feel like I'm still learning a lot, and
but you also went to that MSF course. That's how you got certified. Yeah. Not certified. That's how you got your motorcycle license was through the MSF course, right?
Right.
Frank, you did it with your son, the MSF course.
Well, he did it. I just did it with him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get my license through them.
Right, you've had your motorcycle.
Yeah, I've
license.
had. Yeah, okay. I did that on my own. I wish I knew about it back then, because I literally just went to my local Suzuki dealer, bought a brand new bike on the road, and took off. So yeah, it's. The MSF course is definitely highly recommended. I was much younger then than I am now and whatever. And
we all were.
Yes. So I definitely highly recommended it to my son who wanted to get into it. Being that he was doing it, I said, what the hell? Let me do it with him. And, it's always good to kind of stay up on those skills and kind of get back to basics, especially when it comes to being on two wheels.
And how did you decide you wanted to get into motorcycling?
Well,
then that whole genesis.
I owe that all to you, my brother.
Me?
Yeah, absolutely. You were the one that sparked the fire, and I enjoy riding horses. That's something that I've done in the past, and I saw this riding a motorcycle an extension of that, and so went to the MSF course in Brooklyn, New York, and it was a great experience because they really take you from the beginning steps.
Yeah,
and
just sitting on the bike.
Just sitting on the bike.
These are the controls. Literally starts like right there. Yeah. Sit on the bike. Yeah. See what it feels like. Kind of like throw it side to side. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Exactly. And you're typically on when we did it. Benny and I were. They were the Royal Enfields. I don't know the exact model. They were Royal Enfield 350s. So very small, nimble bikes, easy to control. Like you said, the weight. Very very good. So yeah, they literally just sit on the bike, throw a leg over, and kind of just get a feel for it, know where the controls are before you even start the bike up. Right. Like you're doing very basic thing. Yeah, so they do start from the very beginning. At the end of the 2 days, you're taking your road test, and you have your full-fledged license.
And I was saying it was a 2-day course, right?
It was.
What did it involve? So obviously some classroom lectures, safety briefings, and stuff like that. But what were some of the exercises that you did?
That's where it all begins, and then it's exactly like Frank was saying. You become familiar with all the buttons, the gadgets, the clutch. Get familiar with the motorcycle, the setup. Make sure that you're comfortable, and there's a lot of safety that's taken into that. The instructors were great. I remember that before we even turned on the motorcycle, you're manipulating all the gears and all the gadgets or whatever, all the instruments. And then when you do turn on the motorcycle, they even have you. In my case, we were had the front wheel tire pressed up against a curb, so in case somebody had an accident, they had some
an oversized perhaps.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah.
And then so there you start manipulating the throttle, getting familiar with it, and releasing the clutch nice and slow. And it's one step at a time, baby steps, building on top of one skill, going on to the next one, turning your head, looking at your positioning, your seat on the bike, and all these things. And you learn not only through practicing yourself, but also watching what other people are doing, because it's usually done in a group
groups,
setting. Unless you ask for the private one-on-one lesson.
Now, you took it a few years ago. We kind of took it recently. But there was no classroom, was there?
There was at the very beginning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, with a whole manual and everything, booklets and
all right.
that.
All right, so everything that we did, we had to do there was like a 5-hour online pre-course.
Prior to attending.
Prior to even attending, you had to do the pre-work before you So you actually was that part of your first day?
That was, and that was the only first day that we went into a classroom and we went through over the manual.
See, so we had to do the pre-work before. So in theory, it was a 3-day course. Okay. We did the course over a course of time. A little each day kind of thing. You just have to do it before the course. But then we had 2 full days of on the bike.
And where was yours? Where was your MSF?
So it was at the Motorcyclepedia in Newburgh, New York.
So in Newburgh, and yours was in Brooklyn. Obviously, MSF is a national brand, right?
Yeah,
you have
Motorcycle
different chapters,
Safety
different franchises or whatever. They're going to run a little differently, but all the knowledge is the same.
Yeah, but they're affiliated with the DMV,
yes,
and what have you, which is, like I said, at the end of the second day, you're taking your road course, your road test.
Yeah.
They're signing off on your certificate. You bring your certificate down to say, hey, I took this course, I took my road test. And then DMV just gives you that stamp of approval because they're already affiliated and accredited or whatever with DMV as eligible instructors to give you your road test.
So if you're a new motorcycle rider, want to get into it, just like Arnie, right? Sparked an interest. We lived a little further apart from each other, but so for me to give him lessons just wasn't necessarily practical. So, but for him to get out, immerse in it himself, and then right from there, so you get your motorcycle license. You went out and bought a motorcycle, right?
I did.
Cold turkey, just bought a motorcycle.
Well, so that's a key point too. The MSF course, you don't need to own a motorcycle.
Correct.
You technically don't even have to have your license or permit. You could really just show that you have to have a valid driver's license, period.
Right.
Or actually, no, I don't even think you need to drive. I think you have to be 18 or over, and that's it. Because then at the end of that, it gives you everything that you need to go down and get your permit,
to
get your certificate, to get all of that. So we wound up getting Benny's permit beforehand. I think that's the better way to go, personally, but whatever. Because you have to take a test to get your permit, whatever, and then you're kind of doing it backwards. But not necessary. They tell you that it's not necessary, that you don't need your permit to take the course. And it's roughly about, when we did it, I think it was like $3 or $325, somewhere in that neighborhood.
So reasonably priced.
Reasonably, yes, for the amount of knowledge that you're getting over the course of 2 days and taking your road test, in a closed course, I think was very important too, especially to a new rider, versus I took mine on the street. You know what I'm saying? With a car following behind me.
Yeah.
So
and would you?
Yeah,
obviously these courses, I would say for new riders is it's great, right? You're learning the fundamentals and something as simple as the horn, right? Getting familiar with the console, right? Getting familiar with the controls. You might be in a scenario where you got to hit the horn.
Yep.
It's good to know where it is. And I'm sure even as an experienced rider who, again, Frank, you already had your license, so you did it with your son kind of as a bonding experience. I'm sure there's still things that maybe habits that you'd never really picked up that you learned there,
out.
Oh, 100%, because I was pretty much self-taught over the years, kinda and then obviously through work, you know what I'm saying? I took the scooter course too, whatever.
Right.
Which, did give you a little bit more, but absolutely, like I said, and then just over time, listen, just even driving, you know what I'm saying? If you were to go, I guarantee that the 4 of us right here, if we went to DMV today to go take our road test, we'd fail.
We'd fail.
We would fail.
Yeah. No,
you know what I'm saying? You've been either riding or driving, for
however long.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
develop some bad habits.
30-something years, you know what I mean? You develop bad habits, you don't quite know. You have an idea, but textbook, you're failing. You're absolutely failing.
Correct.
So yes, to get back to it, which is why I did it with him, knowing that I was going to be out there with him and I'm going to be the one training him. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get back to basics. So we both on the same page going into it,
And let me ask you both a question, since you both took the course. Do they also teach you slow speed maneuvering?
Yes,
because
that's pretty much all it's about.
Because I do notice a lot of riders, guys have been riding for years, and again, you can look on YouTube, you can search it. There are pages out there where instructors teach low speed maneuvers to guys who've been riding 10 plus years, because most people can't make simple turns, right?
Yes.
You see them duck walking the bike. The reference of duck walking is put your feet down and kind of just walking in a circle. these are scenarios out the street that I'm sure, you need to have that skill, right? You need to know how to do these things because it's a difference between safely making a turn or recklessly making a turn, putting yourself or other people on the road at risk, right? So taking that course is good. It teaches that as well, right?
Yep. They one of the obstacles, if you want to call it, or what do you call it? Courses. Yeah. You going through like a chute. And I would say it's probably, I don't know, call it, like 50 feet. You're going through that chute and they want you to literally go as slow as possible while maintaining control of the bike.
Right.
Whatever. And then you take off and then like they do emergency braking. Right. You're doing figure eights. You're doing circles. You're doing U-turns. You're doing left turns, right turns. And then they do,
cones.
You're weaving in the cones. Yep. You're doing S turns. Man, what else? There really was like a lot that you were doing. And then they have you going, to begin with, they have you going like one at a time. So like I would go, Nick would go, Arnie would go, Jay would go. And then and then you're eventually going, like you're all going at the same time. Right. And now you kind of have to worry about, the guy in front of you, the guy behind you, things
mimicking
like that.
Traffic conditions, obviously.
Yes, exactly. Trying to
fluid situations.
And you're doing like big figure eights and the course, whatever. And they definitely put you through the paces for sure in a very short period of time. But it is Arnie said a skill building. We're working up to the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and then the majority of people that I saw come up there from day one, on some of them, you're like, oh my God. Yeah. And at the end, you're like, wow, they really got it. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, the instructors, one of my instructors was a retired NYPD motor cop, whatever. So he rode, for the New York City Highway Department. New York City Police Department highway, yes. So most of these guys are, experienced. They do it for a living.
I would take it even further, Frank. I think they're like master riders because they really have a keen eye for how you manipulate the instruments, your equipment.
Yeah. Well, they're doing it every day. That's their job. They're doing it every day. So even the demos, right? Because before they have you do it, they're demoing it for you. Hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what it should look like. Right. Watch me do it. Mm-hmm. And then they do it, and then you go and execute it. Right. So they're doing it. They're practicing every day. And that's really what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I tell these guys all the time, I personally make it a point that after every ride we go on, if I have even 10 minutes, I'll find a parking lot and I'll just do my little slow speeds, using the parking spaces and kind of weaving in between there, doing my circles, my figure eights, using 2 parking spaces to keep it tight and slow, whatever. And that's what I've been teaching my son since he's been doing it, since he got his bike. That's what we've been doing as well.
And it's funny you mention that because that's typically what I was doing as a newer rider a couple of years ago is I'd go on a ride, right? Because anybody can get on a bike and just go straight, right? Mm-hmm. But when I'd come home, like 10, 15 minutes in my neighborhood, I would practice low speed maneuvers. Yeah. Obviously, it's a little embarrassing, right? But we all...
I do it right here.
But we've all had our little mishaps, right? Mm-hmm. And, I was practicing my figure eights and my tight turns. And, one thing, King mentioned is, hey, when you start to scrape the floorboards, you have a little bit of degree of you go a little bit too slow or a little bit too much, you're going to tip over. And unfortunately, that's what happened to me, right? Yeah, so I'm doing my figure eights, I'm scraping the floorboards, and it must have slowed me down by at least a mile or 2 most. And it was the slowest fall I've ever had. It was the only fall I've ever had. Yeah. And the bike basically, bloop. Yep. All right, well, now you learn, right? So, and this is the reason why I think it's important to practice because, again, if real world scenario, if I was out on a main road trying to make a turn and I didn't know what I was doing properly, right? That could have happened. I could have fell, and if cars coming, there's anything that potentially could happen. So practice in a safe environment, get the experience beforehand before you take it out to the real world and start doing it on purpose.
No, to your point, Nick, one of the first things that I did as soon as I got my license, the MSF course is just the beginning of the journey. And so I would ride in my neighborhood, and there's this enclosed space where I live at, or enclosed neighborhood, rather, like it's like one way in, one way out. And so I would just ride my motorcycle there, or I would go to Forest Park and just use the large parking lot. And Jabez has met me there once before, and we would go through different skill building exercises just to get it in.
So I think that's a very valid point. You said a little earlier here that you still consider yourself a novice. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So still like a beginner rider, and I kind of look at you and I go, it kind of makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? And I think it just comes down to where you live. you're in the city. Like, where are you going to go?
Right.
You know, we live in a little more rural area. We have parking lots. We have supermarkets. You know, you could find a spot in the city. I think that's a little bit harder to do.
Hazards
and then
everywhere.
yeah, exactly. Everywhere.
Traffic,
So it's not like you can
Potholes,
just
traffic,
condition of the
balls
roads.
running out
Yeah.
to the street. You know,
Yeah.
there's all
Yeah,
kinds
so
of crazy
People, pedestrians.
You-
it's
Yeah, I
just
think
a lot.
living in the city in a more, you know,
Arnie, you've had a couple close calls in the city.
I did. Yeah. I had this one time. I'm going down Myrtle Avenue in Queens, and this.
so real quick, just to hit on that, right? And he's going to explain that, whatever. It's typically not you that has to worry about anything. It's the other people around you that you have to worry about.
Right, correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Absolutely.
typically, you know, I think most, you know,
Take a deep breath, Frank.
yeah, just, you know, like,
Yeah.
Listen, we've
It's,
had our rides, and we've had
yes.
issues,
Oh,
situations where
Yeah.
other vehicles
yes.
put us at risk, whether it's they didn't see
Absolutely.
us or they felt that you know they were a bigger vehicle, they took priority on the road, and that we were just secondhand citizens, and you know, kind of put
Gotta
us
be
at
cautious.
Put us at risk.
Yeah.
But
So,
what
sorry,
was-
go
what
ahead.
was- yeah, what
Yeah,
was
so
your
I'm sorry, so
situation?
you're in Mass, whatever, right down the road.
Exactly. Frank, I'm in on Myrtle Avenue at Maspeth, Ridgewood Park.
Right by that
Queens.
Stop and Shop, right?
Exactly. And this elderly woman, I mean, I got the green light. It's a two-way. She's gonna make a left turn and just rides right in front of me, and I have the right of way, and I had to swerve out of the way, and I almost got hit by her.
So she was making a left turn. You were going straight.
I was going straight. Yeah.
And again, not
She
a
cut you
malicious,
off. She cut you off.
not a
Yeah,
malicious
as you're
incident,
moving. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not a malicious incident.
Yeah.
Elderly person wasn't paying attention. Vision. You got to be careful on a motorcycle.
And
you
I
have to be careful.
And I think we can all agree, like you know, we've ridden plenty of times that you know, you're not an aggressive rider. You're
No,
not.
no.
You're not.
No, far from.
You're not. I would say overly
Far from.
cautious, but you're definitely not an aggressive rider. So you had enough
On a
time
motorcycle?
to see the issue approaching and to
Yeah.
react to it. In which again, the slow course maneuvers and the training you had at this course definitely comes into play. Which is why it's very important to practice and put the time in.
Yeah.
You know.
And then another incident that I'll talk about is when I crashed into another vehicle. It wasn't a disastrous accident or a collision, but here I am once again on Myrtle Avenue. I guess I got to stay off this roadway. But in this case, there was a crater in the middle of the road, and
when he says crater, he's not joking.
yeah,
New York City's got craters
it
that'll
was
swallow your
a
motorcycle
dip
whole.
of at least 6 inches, and the ground was uneven. I lose control. I try to stay on balance, and all I knew was to stay in the cage because I have the engine guard on me and the saddlebag guard, and I stayed in there. And thankfully, I didn't get physically injured, and the motorcycle didn't suffer any. There was like the
Front fender damage.
front fender damage, and the crash guard did its job, so that got bent slightly. So and I was able to walk away from it, but here again, I fell into this hole. Lost my balance. Thankfully, there wasn't any oncoming traffic, and I was able to just hold down and apply all the brakes evenly, and until I hit another the
Parked
bumper
vehicle,
of a
right?
parked vehicle and got up and walked away. But that was a scary moment as well.
Yeah. I think they're all very scary moments,
And
regardless.
it's not
you
a
know.
matter of if; it's a matter of when. When you ride motorcycles, it's just you're exposing yourself to risk, obviously. But so you moved from the Yamaha 650 V Star, which was actually a really good sounding motorcycle. We went to Maine on it, right? 3 of us went to Maine.
Correct.
Arnie's first motorcycle trip, and we tortured him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go watch that video. Definitely put him through his paces.
There's Maine 2023, ride or die. We went for it, and Arnie stuck it out, right? But we didn't crush him. We didn't crush his spirit. We kept him going. He decided after you experienced a little bit of technical difficulties on that motorcycle. It ended up being the engine
Something like
coils,
that.
I think, right?
Yeah.
We ended up getting your motors, getting you to a U-Haul, loading your motorcycle up on the U-Haul.
Again, you can watch that video on the Conga Man
Yeah,
channel.
on my channel.
Right.
I think Nick was it John. John said when Arnie was coming back with the U-Haul truck, you could hear John in the background. That's an awfully big motorcycle there, Arnie.
Yeah.
So we loaded it up, and Arnie was scouring different places, and from Cross Bay Honda, right? Lenny, right?
Yep,
Good
great.
friend of you guys
Good shout out to Lenny and Cross Bay
in Queens.
in Queens.
But Arnie, you found the what year is that? 2008.
2009.
2009 Harley
Yeah.
Electra Glide.
Yes.
Beautiful motorcycle.
Wonderful motorcycle. Definitely a step up from what I was riding. I think it's 1100 cc's.
A lot of storage.
Bigger gas tank.
Comes out from underneath you.
Yeah. But a great motorcycle, very comfortable, and so I've been enjoying that so far. And hopefully put a lot more miles on it.
But we went up to, so the first year you got your motorcycle, we'd gone to Maine.
We went to Maine.
2024 now was year 2, right? And we went to
Americade.
Americade. Americade Lake George. Tell us about your thoughts and views on that. What that was for you, right? Because I remember your first year. And we'll get to you in a second. But Arnie, from that perspective, tell us, about Americade.
Oh, that was such a memorable and such a wonderful experience to go to Americade. I went there with no expectations, not knowing really what it was all going to be about. I thought of it as just a simple motorcycle rally. People just get there.
Well, in your mind, as a new rider, what's a motorcycle rally? In your mind, what is
just a whole bunch of people who love riding, who enjoy motorcycles, who appreciate the different riding styles and different motorcycle models and things of that nature, and just spending time with one another and just bonding over the experience and stuff like that.
You were hoping to see Frank and assless chaps.
This is true.
That's what I think. I think bikes.
I can show you
naked women.
I can show you the text chat that he sent me before the trip.
And it's not what it was.
The expectations were.
I was disappointed in that regard, but it fulfilled a lot of other things in the sense of that didn't realize that the riding of the motorcycles and what's that called again?
The demo rides.
The demo rides.
The
demo rides are
rides.
just fantastic. Just being able to get on all the different models and test driving them and going through their little course was just a wonderful experience. And you guys really balled out on that one.
Maximized.
You guys maximized.
Well, so the demo rides, just to name a few. So why does that happen? Is different manufacturers come out and they have,
Yamaha, KTM, Kawasaki,
everybody
Honda,
in their mother.
Harley,
Triumph,
Indian, BMW,
Triumph,
all of them.
They're up there.
Yeah.
CF Moto was there.
CF Moto.
I think that's when you test. You
The
demo ride the
little
Vespas.
Vespas.
Yes,
The three-wheeled scooter.
Yes. Kawasaki.
You don't want to see this man on a Vespa. It's actually pretty entertaining to watch, but it's like watching a horrible crash. You can't look away. You should, but you can't.
It's like a circus, an elephant riding.
And then
Yes, exactly.
What was that? The big trike you guys rode?
So that was Harley.
No.
The Rawako.
Yes, something like that. Yes.
Tried that out. A Rawako. It's a Mazda Miata engine on a motorcycle.
Yeah. It's almost like a modified
That was like a
car,
car.
trike,
Yeah.
motorcycle combination.
Fun.
Yeah.
I had
Very
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, personally,
Doesn't handle like
when
a-
I purchased one, probably not, but
But you go ride one at a
but you
demo
go
ride.
ride one at a demo ride. It was definitely entertaining to do it,
So
I think it's a motorcycle that's they have so many different models that
For all kinds of
people.
Correct.
Yeah, I was gonna say someone
Sports,
who's older,
cruisers, adventures.
that maybe their spouse doesn't want to get on a two-wheel, but they feel a little bit uncomfortable, so they go with the Rocco.
And to kind of expand on this trip, we have another friend we ride, friend Danny, who's been up to Americade
Many
many
times.
times,
Bunch of times.
and didn't realize that you could demo ride these bikes.
Right.
So when
Didn't
we
even know it was
spoke
a
to
thing.
him,
Didn't even know it was a thing.
we spoke to him, explained to him, "Yeah, listen, we're going to demo ride." He goes, "What do you mean demo ride?" And I think he was in glory too with it.
Yeah,
'Cause
he had
he
a lot
would
of
go
fun.
up there and kind of what Arnie said, just enjoy the experience of being up there, viewing other people on their bikes, not knowing that you could experience the demo rides, which was
We probably each rode,
12, 15.
I think, more than that.
Yeah,
I tell you,
think more than
over
that.
2 days.
Well, you know what? I think it's close to 20 different models.
Yes.
you
right?
guys definitely
At
did
least.
like 20.
But that one point at Harley, we would get off, get on another one, get off, get on another. And it was just like a round robin. We just kept going out, because they were available.
Yeah, everybody wanted to ride the baggers and the big road. Road glides.
Yeah, we got on those new.
like the streets.
12, what is it? 12? Is it 1200?
1200
Evolutions?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Evolutions, whatever.
Pan Americas and
Man,
the
those
Street
are
Bobs.
some fast little bikes.
So I guess
Those
you know
are
what?
some fast
So I
little
guess
bikes.
obviously, Arnie, you have your perspective. Frank, that was your first Americade
That was my first American.
ever.
Yeah.
And then
That
so
was
but
my
but
second,
Nick
yes.
was Nick's second Americade. So you
Yeah.
guys have fresh perspectives on what Americade is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, fire off.
Well,
Yeah,
This is
no.
your first
So
experience?
again, I mean, I bought the Suzuki in I I think that earlier that year, right, February, and
Yes.
then I called Jay up and I said, listen, I got a bike. You still ride? He goes, of course I still ride, right? And then we planned. He said, I'm going Americade. I'm like, I'm going Americade too. So funny enough, I had the 23 Suzuki GSX S750, and it's the Sport Naked bike, and it was a great bike. I really loved that bike. My very first bike was a Jester 600, so I kind of felt at home, on that bike. But I'll say it's a young man's bike. You know, it's not. It's a little hard on the back on what we're doing anyway. If you're around town, whatever, no big deal. But one of the last rides we did, it was like almost 700 miles. Right, we went up to Ticonderoga, down Vermont, back down home, whatever. So on that bike, I had it set up, touring windshield, the give you top case, whatever. It was all great. I bought the Saddleman seat. Yep. So I had. What I was kind of getting at there is that I almost wish that I waited to buy a bike, to go to the demo rides to see what I liked, because in my mind I thought I liked one thing, and then I wound up on something that I never thought I'd be on. So it is very interesting to be able to go do that, because you may have one thought in your mind, like you want a bag or you want a sport bike, you want this, and you might just wind up on a big old adventure bike and even know that's what you wanted. But here we are, going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. Growing up, my dad rode a Harley, whatever, and he's always talking about Daytona. Daytona could be, and he'd show me pictures and videos, whatever, and it's all like, the girls doing this and the chapless asses and whatever, all that stuff. Yeah,
assless chaps.
Assless chaps. That's what I said. Yeah,
you said chapless asses.
Those two. Anyway, a bunch of rowdy, drunk guys just going crazy. You know what I mean? But I guess take out all of that, I don't want to say necessarily negative stuff, but it does wind up being negative, I think, at the end of the day. It's all fun and games in the beginning, but I think somebody just can get out of hand, whatever. And I think they're running into a lot of problems down there with that. The cops are more heavily involved with Laconia.
Sturgis even.
Yeah, so I think
Outlaw.
Yeah, Lake George gets super busy. Lots of bikes are up there, and it's awesome.
But certainly more geared toward
it's
friendly,
more,
family friendly.
It's definitely a toned down. I think they keep it at a certain level where it's not too out of hand. But we stayed at a great Airbnb. The demo rides are great. We walked around the, what do you call it? So Jabez wound up planning that whole trip, for us, and put a lot of time, effort, and energy into it. We were also thankful for it. He was talking about getting some highway pegs, and Nick had noticed, hey, he's looking at those highway pegs. Man, listen, we should chip in and get it. So he wound up getting a nice
and that was a very
highway
nice
pegs
surprise.
there. Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about the Tour Expo,
Yeah,
right?
so the vendors are all there, and you see
Check
something you
things out,
like, whatever. You can actually see whatever, and they put him on his bike right there. Hey, go get your bike. Go get my bike. You're going down the thing over here, get my bike in. You're going through the thing, and they'll do everything for you right there. There were guys getting custom, the pinstriping, whatever, on their bikes, whatever. Freehand, these guys just in there doing, really nice stuff. Airhawk was there. I'm trying to think. We bought that shit for our glass of the anti-fogging stuff, whatever. Little things like that. Some of it, might be gimmicky, whatever. I think that stuff worked pretty good. But the demo rides were great. That's where I know I fell in love with the BMW GS. You guys,
great motorcycle.
You guys all.
I want one.
So it was really the only bike that I know personally that I sat on. I was just like, it doesn't need anything. Every other bike I got, I'm like, the seat, all the grips, all the position, all this, all that. Or I would definitely have to upgrade this.
But you had it in the mindset because your wife wants to ride with you.
Yes, I know that
it's a completely different mindset, right?
Yeah, I know she would definitely like to get on with me.
So you had the thought of having a companion with you, or a
and she doesn't want to do real long rides, whatever. But definitely some in-state stuff or close, nearby, whatever. Let's go over here, whatever. But not necessarily the trips that we're doing. She's not there yet, but. I don't know if she ever will be, but yes. So yes, 2-up riding on that bike is definitely a big thing, and something to think about if that is what you're going to do. Because on the Suzuki, that definitely wasn't happening. The little pillion seats it's about the size of my phone.
Right. But for me, it was just going to Americade seemed so affordable.
It went up this year a little bit, but it's still
nominal.
nominal.
$89 in the past.
Yeah.
Was
a
it
nominal fee
105
that you're
now or
getting to
something?
ride as many bikes as you want for the amount of miles that we put on.
Exactly.
And then, then just, what do you call it, included like a T-shirt and
And
whatever.
for me, that's so
like,
invaluable. Like for you to be able to go there, try not just different brands, but the different models of each brand.
Yes.
Because it's one thing, like you said, Frank, for you to go in there thinking that you want a certain type of bike, and until you try something else, you really don't know how it feels, how it functions, how it maneuvers, and whether it's to your liking or not. And then put that aside, because there's tremendous value in that. So then when you want to go purchase a bike, you already know more or less, hey, I know what it's like, so I could do that. But then it's just the fun of it all, to be able to just ride all these different bikes like you guys were alluding to earlier, and just going through their little course. Because, you could go to a local motorcycle dealership and do a test drive, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Well, so with that being said, too, when we finished that last trip I was talking about, we went up to Vermont and came back down, Jay and I wound up finding a Max BMW was having demo rides there, and that's where I ultimately wound up buying it from. After that demo ride, I was able to bring my wife there and did a 2-up ride with her, and she fell in love with it, and that was kind of the final decision. So so definitely look at your local dealership. That sometimes they will host demo rides. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I think the in-house demo rides. Like, I know there's a Ducati dealership down here. Like, they do like an in-house, and it's kind of like, just kind of go there, come back. But if it's actually like a sanctioned demo ride with whatever manufacturer, it's a little more elaborate, and they do more things, whatever. Yeah.
But to clarify as well, though, when Arnie says course, this is not like a little closed course thing. You take the motorcycles out in the street; they have an established route.
Roads,
Right? It's probably a 7, 8, 10 mile route that you go down.
Easily.
It's not go straight out and then come back.
It's you're out on the road pushing these motorcycles,
Right.
and some of the manufacturers have guided tours where you have to stay with the group, sign up for a time. This is the motorcycle you want. Triumph,
but not some of those are a little bit better.
More.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought BMW did a pretty good job.
They did because you got in sticks. Right? You have one rider, 1 leader to every 6 or 8 riders.
Right.
Yeah. So
Honda did the same thing, right?
Yes.
Honda, I think Yamaha does it. Yeah. But Triumph, Triumph,
Indian,
Harley, you could just kind of go and stand next to the motorcycle, and they scan you in, scan you out. You got to register, sign up with them, but they let you out.
And the other thing is too, like when you go on these bikes, each vendor has you sign a waiver, right? So the waiver is basically saying, hey, listen, if you damage our bikes, drop our bikes, we're not going to hold you liable for the damage to our bike, but just understand you are on the hook for anything you hit. So let's just say hypothetically you crash into another vehicle or another car, or you fall off and you break your arm, they're not liable for that. So just understand going into this as well. A lot of people see a motorcycle like, I want to get on and go, which is great. But know that also, if God forbid something does happen, you damage their bike. They don't care. They're insured. But anything you damage beyond that, you're liable. You're civilly liable for the rest. So understand that going into it as well. Don't just get on their bikes and grip it and rip it in a sense and do 100. But, you do some damage to something other than their bike, you're going to be liable.
And isn't it like a prerequisite that you have to, I think it's a minimum of a year of rider experience?
They do actually how long you've been riding.
I'm pretty sure, you have to be you've had to have had your license
because
for
years
at least
ago,
a year or something like that.
Honda, when I believe I was trying with like the CBR or something like that, they asked me how long you've been riding. I said, I've been riding for about 3 years. And they were a little hesitant to allow me on that bike because they felt I wasn't experienced enough. Right. So yes, there are some prerequisites that you have to have.
Well, I remember like the Triumph Rocket they kept to the side.
Oh yeah.
They wouldn't let anybody ride it. I mean, I didn't want to ride it anyway.
Right.
So, but Nick, so your first time a couple of years ago going up to Americade, this is just after you received your dad's motorcycle.
Yeah. So that was my first big trip with
And up to this point, like motorcycles was just kind of like right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick and I went, and it just blew your mind, changed your decision on what motorcycle riding.
Now he's a rider.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like I've grown up. I've jumped on friends' bikes, dirt bikes, street bikes. I wouldn't say I was experienced at all. Like I knew how to get on, and like I said earlier, ride in a straight line. Making the figure 8s or turns. It was new to me, right? So Jabez kind of introduced me into the basics, and I'm the type of person where I kind of catch on quick, right?
Very quickly.
So with that said, we jumped on these bikes, and I was confident, enough to where I felt Jabez knew what he was doing, and I can kind of keep up with him, and that's good enough for me. So we go on this trip. Our friend Eric,
with Eric,
the
ghost,
the ghost, the fence guy, Eric. It was me, him, and the King here. Great experience. We got up there. I think we did 1-day demo rides on that trip. I think we spent 2 nights, 3 days, and the day 2 was our demo rides. It was definitely an experience for me. I mean, getting on, like you said, different bikes, trying different things. You know, funny enough, again, at the time my bike was about 28 years old, give or take. And after riding these demos all day long, I get on mine. I thought there was something wrong with my bike because it's like this newer technology, the power there.
so
I mean,
smooth,
you know, the torque. I mean, just it's so different, right? So I get back on my motorcycle, I'm giving it throttle, and I felt like I really had to get on it. Nothing wrong with my bike, needless to say, but it's just the experience. So now and then that ride home was a disaster, right? It was pouring rain. We three of us get on the highway, and I remember Jabez telling me, hey, listen, just stay in the tire tracks. You got 2-3 seconds before it fills back in. And again, still fairly a newer rider, confident enough that I follow his lead, I'm going to be fine, right? So fast forward 2 years later when, we went up as a crew, I kind of knew what to expect. I kind of knew, certain motorcycles, like if you wanted to experience the Honda Goldwing or the African Twin, you kind of had to get there and get a slot early because once that slot filled up, you wouldn't
gone for the day.
Yeah, it's gone for the day. Other bikes you could just kind of sign up as you go, but certain bikes people wanted to ride, you had to make sure to get there early enough to sign up a slot. But like Frank said earlier, it kind of it made me unknown, right? So like I had a preference what I liked. I keep saying I like the Indian Challenger. I like the setup of it. I like the style of it. But then again, it's like the adventure style bikes are also something that's fun too, right? It's more of an upright position, multi-purpose, right? You get on the highway, you can get on some of those back dirt roads. Not that you can't with a bagger style bike, but the setup is different, and it's not the same experience. So for me, it's like, you go there knowing you want to try different stuff, get on them, experience them. So the only downside is you leave there going, do I get one? Screw it. Do I get two? That's a dilemma. Or get three? Why not? So it's definitely it was definitely fun to ride up, the ride down, and the all in between. I think it was a great experience for me.
And the thing is, with us again, you could make a 2-hour trip, get up to Lake George. We choose to go the back roads, make a day of it, enjoy it. And
a whole day of it.
Yeah, a whole day of it. Around.
We mentioned earlier, we tease him from time to time, because we're all different as far as like riding experience or what we're comfortable with. We knew certain roads were, say, a 5-mile long road, and we would say, all right, Arnie, we'll see you at the end of the road, and we would just enjoy the curves, kind of lean into them, and then we'd wait for him, and then after a little while, wait, should we go back and check? Because and then we see, Arnie wandering up the road, kind of event. So we knew he was all right. But
there's the little girl.
There's the little girl. So
so with that, right?
Yep.
What we've all decided to go with at this point is for communicators, right?
Yes.
We all have, excuse me, personal communication device inside of our helmets, right? What do you have this? You got
they
50S
both
now,
had the
right?
50S.
So now
they
you
bought
have
the
right.
Sena 50S.
So that first trip to Maine that we took, Nick had the 50S, I had the 50S, you had the 5S. Or
10. The 10 something. Is it the 10?
10S.
I have it here.
Right.
So he had the 10S.
Got it here.
And John had
he had some
I don't
other...
think the 10S, but it was 10,
some
whatever.
old generation Sena that we
Right.
were using. So Sena, you can communicate to
the mesh.
well, through mesh, but you can use Bluetooth intercom and you can use mesh.
I think you mentioned that in one of your other videos
Yeah.
where you Bluetooth, and then
you and me mesh.
you guys mesh the network and bring everybody
Yes, so you can carry people in, whatever. But, listen, there's Cardo out there, there's Sena out there, there's a whole bunch of other knockoffs that you can buy. But just having the ability to communicate with each other is a big deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
For safety reasons.
Correct.
What else?
Correct.
You know?
I mean, it's definitely, the safety factor for me was the biggest part, right? Because again,
And you were kind of not...
At first, I was, not that I was against it, but I'm like, what do I need it for? Especially if I'm riding solo.
You
But
can
then
kind of
once
see people, yeah.
that first Lake George trip, it was you, me, and Eric. You and Eric had comms, and I was kind of the, all right, just going. It's also again communication, safety, and just kind of.
Nick
pass the
couldn't
time.
hear them laughing, but he
He
sees
gets-
them
yeah.
laughing. Like,
I
what
can
are they
see them
doing? What are
laughing,
they doing?
correct.
And you're not in it.
They laughing at me, or they laughing at something they saw. I mean, so.
But now, after having the comms,
I mean, I wouldn't ride without one.
you recognize the need to be able to communicate. All of us.
Yeah.
All right? Pothole in the road. Hey, let's stay to the left. Oh,
Yep. Sand, gravel, this, that, roadkill,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, calling it out rather than throwing
Pointing,
limbs out there,
yeah,
trying to point
you
to
know.
what have you, and
Yeah, even on those windy roads, it's like the guy riding sweep, if he's a little bit far behind or something happens, the guy in front of him, you can communicate, hey guys, slow down, we got an issue, or we're coming, we're just a little slow, or whatever the issue is. I mean, the comms definitely are a very valid thing to purchase.
Well, just even in Maine. So I had a tank bag that's magnetic, and I would take it off and
Yeah.
leave it on leave it on my back luggage.
When you would fuel up.
Yeah, so I would fuel up. I forgot to reattach it. We pull out, I hit the throttle and take off, and Nick says, something fell off. I'm like, what fell off? A bag fell off. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He goes, pull over, pull over, pull over.
That was
right?
funny.
But I was, quarter mile ahead already at that point.
So I stopped, grabbed it.
He stopped, picked it up, and I feel terrible because the magnets had grabbed some metallic stuff on it. He put it on his tank and ended up scratching his tank a little bit.
Listen, nothing lasts forever, right?
Yeah.
Scratches, dings, dents, it's part of ownership. Vehicles, motorcycles. You want to keep it brand new forever, leave it in the garage.
Yeah. You do your best.
Yeah.
You do your best to maintain it so it stays nice, whatever.
Yeah.
Keep it clean, wax it, things like, whatever. But, if you're going to use it, something's going to happen.
100%.
I'll say two things about the comms and why I thought they were important. One is because we just have a good rapport with one another, and so to keep that conversation going through the ride and just have a casual conversation, I love that, to be able to speak to you guys and make jokes and yes, the safety is first and foremost and paramount. But when we're just riding and we have all this time, and we catch up with each other, so that's important.
It builds the camaraderie.
And then the other thing that I love about the comms is if you get pulled over by the popo, by the police, you can just eavesdrop into conversations, and and it's just wonderful. So I enjoy that.
On the Conga Man page.
So, check that out when you get a chance. You see what we talking about.
Someone may or may not have been pulled over.
There you go.
But it was
for doing something they may or may not have.
It was so funny talking to the police.
And we're like, don't. At that point, it was already committed.
Yeah.
But then I hear these guys talking to me, the cops talking to me, and I'm staring at them like, who do I respond to? I have no idea.
Funny for us, not so much for
exactly.
But one thing too good about the comms that you mentioned, communicating is like, again, we always go back and talk about how Arnie was a novice rider and still kind of considers himself that. One thing that I was trying to explain to him as we were riding is rev matching, right? So, telling somebody it and they try and do it on their own and trying to explain it to them, things like that. Certain points where I would tell Arnie, hey, you should really learn how to rev match right now when you downshift. Right. So you're not downshifting and your RPM shoot up and you thrown off the
engine braking.
Your engine braking.
But we can actively see what's happening.
Correct.
Hear what's happening.
Correct.
And then communicate that.
So, it's a good way to help each other try and teach new skills and
instead of yelling across a parking lot, this is what you got to do.
Correct. There's so much noise, and when somebody's just just standing still in one spot and you're trying to do something and they're trying to help you and give you feedback on what you're doing, you're right, Nick. There's nothing better than someone in your ear telling you exactly what to do while you're doing it.
Right.
It definitely makes a big difference. Didn't even think about that.
Frank, matter of fact, you did that with Benny.
I did. So recently on the video call, I even went a step further and I was driving behind him in my truck, my helmet on, communicating with him as he's riding his bike in front of me.
Getting looks from other cars like you're nuts. Not knowing
so Frank was telling me the story. I'm like, wait, Frank, you
guy driving Baja?
I said, you had your helmet on? Like, yeah. Oh, okay.
But so even talking about Americade, even up in Americade when we left the Airbnb that final day, whatever, we had a dog run out in front of us on a what appeared to be a very thick 20-something foot rope. Whatever, ran out in the street, and we're like, oh, dog, whatever.
Dog,
we were able to call it
right.
out, whatever, and they were able to slow down and get by safely.
And what was it? 5 of us? 6 of us? It was
6 of us at the time.
So we were riding. I remember, me and Jabez were, riding side by side. We were the front two, and I was riding the yellow line, and we're like, wait, is that a dog? And literally, again, if you look on his page, look at the video,
right? It was on a curve,
maybe you can even add it in here. I don't know where you guys do it on here.
Can,
I mean, it's like the dog was like walking towards us as we're approaching. So
he ran towards us.
Yeah, he was happy to see us. So
ran right out in the middle of the street. We weren't expecting it.
He might have smelled the dog bones you had in the saddlebags. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it was good to have the comms.
Another just to build on this thing about the utilization of the comms. We have some folks here that have experience actually in highway patrol, riding motorcycles, and that in formation. And it was a real treat to kind of like get that set up and have that communication.
Yeah.
So we have the coordination of everything, and we're riding side by side, having a little certain aesthetic, So that
looks
was
cool, feels cool.
Yeah,
and the one thing I don't think any of us mentioned is like we probably looked like the most organized group of riders in a pack with completely different style motorcycles.
Yeah.
I mean, you have guys like I said, brother, right? You got you got your one style riders, you had your adventure style riders, then you had all of our motorcycles. So you look at us,
touring, Harley,
right?
Cruisers,
So it's like we were the for lack of a better, the sexiest bunch of guys on the road with completely different styles of motorcycles.
So it turns heads, and it looks cool when you ride like that.
Yeah. So
and it's funny, we would see other guys and be like, "What are they doing?"
Or even just setting up shots for when we're in the camera. All right, guys, bring it in tight. I want to get this shot going around this bend.
Nick had his drone up. We were trying to do
that.
The
drone's in the front.
Makes it easy to get.
To our right, to our left.
A lot of different reasons.
Yeah,
comms are good for sure.
No, absolutely. So what's the next adventure now? Who's in Tennessee, right? That's the plan.
Yeah, talking about Tennessee. So we got a couple. We're gonna probably hit up Americade for a night, just to kind of go up there anyway to check out the Tour Expo. Maybe do a couple demo rides, but get Benny exposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the Blue Ridge, and then we're talking about this other one that you had come up
to
with
go up
in August.
New England area.
Yeah, it's a New England, Vermont tour. That's like a 4 or 5 day thing.
Yeah.
So we'll get details out, and maybe we'll see you guys on that trip. And
hopefully
Ocean you guys can join us.
We can do Ocean City. I'd almost like to do Ocean City too.
Right.
The bike week down there, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's close.
But obviously these guys we've been riding together for a while. Obvious brotherhood and camaraderie here, right? A lot of fun. I mean, motorcycle, in itself is wind therapy, right? Just being able to get out and just, experience nature and be one with the road and one with your machine. And, listen, you ride a motorcycle for a reason. You push it, right? But there's no talk back from the motorcycle. You understand? There's no pushback. You're asking, it's going to give.
Yeah.
Got to be cautious what you ask for.
Yeah. Well, so and to that point too, to kind of like end on this, I guess, like Arnie said, and we're poking fun. Arnie's the wanderer, and he always gets left behind, and this and that. But Arnie rides his ride.
He pushes,
and we bust his chops, but no one truly pushes him to keep up with us, and we let Arnie be Arnie, and we know who Arnie is and whatever, and Arnie will get to that point where he's comfortable, and no one's pushing. Like I said, we'll poke fun here and there, but he knows it's just that, like in good fun. But
he knows his limit.
Exactly,
and we encourage safety. Obviously, that's where we're at.
Right.
Don't ride. And I say to every ride, I say, guys, listen, I got one responsibility: is bring you back home safe.
Yep.
Not push.
Yep.
All right.
If there's anything I push, out of all these guys, is hey, let's get a trip going. Whether it be a local 1 day ride or
Nick,
a multiple
comes up
day
from the
ride.
island all the time. Just ride with us for the day. For the day.
2+ hours just to get here.
Yeah. Like I said, that's where the future of my bun burner video is going to be part of it getting to you guys. All right, let's get them go. So
that's it.
The ride here and the ride home adds the 500 miles.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. All right, Arnie, thank you guys for coming up here.
Nick, Arnie, thanks for
coming up here. We had such a blast,
being
able to record and be part of this. Just great content, putting things out, trying to engage our viewership, and Frank, thank you for hosting us again here in your space. But hopefully you guys enjoy this. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll send you some stickers. Email us at therevjester@outlook.com. We'll get you some stickers. All right. Want to keep trying to push this forward, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it. We are. I know we are.
Hey, listen. Yeah. If nothing else, we're getting together, right? So we're hanging out again, doing our thing.
So, I'm the Conga Man.
I'm the Rev Jester,
and we're the friends.
And this is the King and Jester Show. We will catch you on the next one.